Hello and welcome back to Just Car Guys. Now, you may have noticed there was no upload last week, and that was because me and my dad actually went to the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb. So with that, today we're going to have a little bit of a different episode. Instead of our usual content going over the latest car news, we're actually going to talk about the Pikes Peak Hill Climb and just how awesome it was.
It was fantastic.
It was so cool. And just next week, as some more news comes out, then we'll pick back up on the news here. So we're going to kind of recap our experience, kind of like start to finish. So starting off, of course, I was late out of work. The only day I asked to leave early, I got stuck there. I had to finish something before I left. But we left, we got on the road. We ended up sleeping in our Jeep. My dad had rigged this awesome setup here, and we had used it to kind of not have to buy a hotel because they're pretty expensive, and we only needed it for a couple hours, and yeah, they're all booked up. And my dad created this, so there's like a ledge that has all the stuff on top, and then a kind of a compartment for the legs, and then the rest of it was open so that we could sleep in there. And let me tell you, I was astonished at how comfortable this thing was.
It actually turned out pretty good. I was surprised.
It was so comfortable.
Yeah.
But get this, I couldn't sleep at all. Neither of us. Well, I slept maybe 2 hours. I think you slept 30 minutes?
Probably less. Yeah, not much. I think it was just the fact that we were excited about the race
and worried
and worried about getting up because go ahead.
We're sitting at dinner before, like, just because we got down there, we'd been driving, and we're like, okay, let's get something to eat. I look at my phone. The first thing I see is a weather report saying there's gonna be a foot of snow at the top of Pikes Peak. Like, oh, great.
Yeah, we thought for sure it was going to get canceled.
But as you can tell here, it did not, and it was fantastic. So we ended up getting up at, 1:30?
1:30.
1:30 in the morning to go ahead and drive down, because the gates open at 2:30 in the morning, so we wanted to be there with plenty of time. And when we got there, so they had, there's nobody else out on the road. So we thought we were in the clear. We thought it wasn't going to be busy at all. But there ended up being this giant pile up of traffic. I mean, so they had the lane going up, and then there was this huge parking lot, and they had us all separated into other lanes, and then they would send one of those up continuously as they would fill it. And there were tons of people there.
Several hundred cars in that parking lot.
Crazy.
Yeah, pretty wild. So thinking that we were good, getting up at 1:30, we probably should have got up earlier.
Probably.
Yeah.
If we wanted. Well, honestly, though, I mean, I feel like we still got a pretty good spot without having to worry about it.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. No, we were in pretty good shape. Obviously, others must have been there at midnight or something.
Oh my, yeah. I don't even know. There's so many people there. By the time we got there, I was surprised. And this is at 2:30 in the morning, so I was quite surprised by that. And then, so we find a place to park. One thing, if you ever decide to go to Pikes Peak, just know parking is basically figure it out. They don't really have it very clear or marked in some areas. So we were trying to watch from the starting line because it's our first time. We don't want to go anything too crazy. And she said park before the dam, but when we went, there was not a person there with one of those orange
there was no parking
things.
attendant at that location,
So we had no clue, so we drove past it. Luckily, we found a parking spot, and then so we're walking. One of my favorite parts about it was okay, so I'm super tired. I'm like, wow, this is interesting. Is then we had to park kind of a little far away, so we had to walk up the mountain basically a little bit.
It was about a mile walk.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole idea behind trying to watch from the starting line, we were hoping we'd be able to see some of the cars up close, instead of them going by. They do have pretty well marked parking if you're up further on the course.
Yeah.
Because they force you to park where you're watching from, and they have little parking areas. But if you're planning to watch before the starting line, then it's kind of wide open. The other thing to note too is if you're planning to watch from further up, be aware that once you're there, you don't get to come back.
Oh yeah,
because the road to get there is the track,
yeah.
Right? So you're stuck there for the remainder of the event, which is cool if that's what you want to, but if for whatever reason you wanted to duck out early or something like that, you want to watch from before the starting line.
Something I love too from their visitor guide thing is a little quote, and it was 364 days out of the year, this is a tourist attraction, a public highway. One day of the year, it is a racetrack.
Yep.
There's no safety. There's slight safety equipment. There is no stands. You bring a chair and you're sitting in the dirt. It was
a piece
awesome.
of dirt and watch the race. It was good.
So my favorite part, we're walking up that, and then you kind of turn a corner, and then you just see a bunch of semis. You're like, what's going on here? And so when you get to that section there, and you start seeing people running around, you're like, okay, whatever. You walk up, and then there's like a GT3 RS club sport race car, whatever they are, sitting on the side of the road, because there's there's no security around really or anything like that. They're kind of in their own area, and there's just these $400, $500, $600,000 incredible race cars sitting on the side of the roads on jack stands, and like there's techs running around, and people are just hanging out drinking coffee, and there's media running around. It was like, so I felt like I wasn't supposed to be there. I was like, this is usually off limits. And
yeah, it was pretty cool.
On the side of the road.
So many of the cars up on their jack stand posts, and they had like warmers working on the tires to get the tires warmed up, because it's pretty cold up there.
It's cold. And so then from there, we went to find our location. Here's a start line. We went kind of past there, checking it all out. And then we ended up finding a pretty good spot. By the time we got there, we kind of had to go down and up a couple hills and stuff. It was kind of in a iffy to get to area. Then we found our spot. We got our spot early. There was nobody else there. It was awesome. This is a video of it right here. And I feel like for our first time, we got a hell of a spot, because you could hear them launch from the start, and then we got to see them on kind of like the straight. We'll have a couple videos we'll show too that show the flybys. Fantastic sound.
Yeah, it was
from
pretty
those
cool.
things.
We were basically on the first straight.
Yeah,
Yep.
Exactly. Here's a video from the pits. These awesome BBI Autosport. They came out with these awesome Porsches. They had a Turbo Cup car as well as a GT2 RS, and I think a Cayman GT4. Those by far favorite car there, in my opinion. I love those things. They're fantastic.
That was the best car there, in my opinion.
They look so
I love
good.
those things. Yeah.
They're incredible. Like in the middle of the pits, so you're running around, there's like hustle bustle, people are running around getting coffee, you can smell the food cooking, you can see all the incredible cars, and then we see a group of people, we're like, what the hell's going on over there? We walk over there, and they're all looking up. We look up, and there's bears in the tree.
Sitting in the tree.
They're just hanging out in the tree in the middle of the pits, bunch of people around. We're like, okay, whatever.
That's pretty cool.
I thought that was pretty sick, yeah. So some of my favorite cars from there, of course we saw Tanner Faust's GT4. We saw an incredible M2 CS that was purple. They had a bunch of GT4s there. I think it was a Yokohama exhibition thing or something they were doing. There's an awesome E30. And then, of course, those BBI Autosport cars. So good,
awesome.
Man. They picked a good color for those things, too. It sure catches your eye.
They stood out, yeah.
And then, okay, my other favorite cars, there's three more. So there's those Porsches. They kind of hold the top spot. But then, they had this incredible Audi Quattro there, old 80s
school.
Audi.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Big turbo. That thing was crazy. They had Randy Probst. How do you say his last name?
Probst. Yeah.
Randy Probst. His unplugged performance plaid, the Tesla Model S plaid that was there. That thing was really cool looking.
That thing ripped.
Oh, yeah. We got a video of that to
So
show you
fast.
that thing. So a lot of these don't show up fast on camera. That thing was fast. It was the
flying.
first one that really came around that corner hauling.
Yeah.
I was impressed. And then this incredible, this was kind of cool because we had been reporting on these cars for a couple months ago, but we got to see the Turn 14 Evasive Motorsports Model 3 that they were going to run, as well as that insane biofuel powered Bentley GT3 hill climb car.
That thing was wicked.
That thing's insane.
Very
To
cool.
see that in person and to see the aero pieces and everything was awesome. That was kind of all from there. We kind of checked out the cars, and then we didn't really, since it's our first time, we weren't sure kind of how it worked out, how many people were going to start filing into the spots. We didn't want to miss our spot or anything like that. So we went ahead and headed back and just kind of hung out until the cars started to run. And so we got a couple here that I'm going to show that were I picked my favorite runs that we saw out of all of them. This was the first car to run. It was so cool. It wasn't running super fast, but man, was it awesome. was sweet. That
Yeah,
240Z with the giant V8, it sounds like so cool. This thing was hilarious.
It's making the good noise.
That thing caught me
That
so
was
off
fun.
guard when it
looked like a blast.
I mean, I expected to see like some crazy lowered rate, and there was like that little buggy thing. Does anybody please drop in the comments if you know what that is? Because there was a couple of those that ran.
Yeah.
And I'm very
we
curious.
We could probably go out to the app and figure out what it was.
I know, but
yeah.
we'll let them tell us. Now, this thing was crazy. So what was funny about this, I got this video like last second because they're supposed to be running sirens so that you can hear them coming. And I don't think he turned his on or his wasn't working or something because it was silent. I didn't hear it at all. But this thing was hauling. You can hear everybody like, whoa. He was really moving on that. I wanted to see that again.
Yeah, that was incredible. That was Randy Probst.
That was really cool. It was just cool to like be in the same place as him. Like, like that's him. Like that's awesome. So this was one of those Cayman GT4s. Those just sound fantastic. I love those things. That was so my favorite. So what was really funny is like you saw like there's 3 running for the Yokohama like company or their exhibition, and you kind of could see them come around the corner. But when Tanner Faust came around, like he was going way faster. They were. He was.
Yeah.
He was going crazy. Now this one, of course, it's one I sat down. So keep in mind, I did not come very prepared. So I had my like straight classic Vans on, and I wasn't ready for it to be as cold as it was. My feet were freezing. So I decided to sit down, and of course that's when the coolest thing ran by. This was that GT2, or it was one of the BBI Autosport cars. So cool.
That was the best car there.
Dude,
I loved watching that car go by.
That's my favorite run. And you can hear it. You know what's crazy? When it's popping on the upshifts, you can hear it in this video. Here, I'll shut up this time. Man.
Yeah, that thing was sick. It's worth noting,
so
you know,
cool.
it was cold. You can see that actually the weather held out for us, which was good.
Yeah, it didn't
for
rain
us,
or anything
but
like that.
up higher, it was still snowing at the peak. So they ended up only running like 3/4 of the run.
Oh yeah, they didn't run the entire thing.
But they still ran, which was cool because we were concerned even while we were there.
I was concerned.
You know that they weren't going to run, but they ended up doing it. So
I was so happy when the first
Ton of
car
fun.
came by, because it's not like when you're in that spot, you're not close enough to the start to hear the announcer, so you're just kind of
wondering if it's going to happen or not. Yeah, because
Like
they started,
hoping they're
started
gonna
like
run
an
it.
hour late.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah.
That thing was crazy. That
was cool. Is that the one that broke down?
No, that was different. There was 2 cars that ended up breaking down. One of them was like one of those crazy 1-seater like race cars, and then another was a Porsche. What was it? 914?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
I don't remember which one. I don't remember which
The
one.
Porsche?
Oh yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, it was like this tiny little Porsche. I can't remember what it was,
914.
but it had a giant LS motor in the back with these huge exhaust pipes sticking out and giant turbos. You hear the turbos when it was starting, like he was but
Yeah.
he snapped an axle or something like that, and he didn't finish his run, unfortunately. Next one here. Oh, that one was awesome.
Yeah, that one was. I feel like that one's really loud. Doesn't
Oh,
show
that
up
one
as
was
much here, but
super
it was
loud.
very loud. Yeah. There it is.
There's that Bentley. Man, that was so... I covered my ears for that one. That one was really, really loud. I was like, I don't want hearing damage
Biofuel.
after this. But overall, like, if you get a chance to go. Do it. It is the coolest
It's definitely
thing
something
ever.
to see.
It's
This was
so
the
worth it.
99th running, right? So
Yeah, we're going next year.
Next year will be the
doing it.
100th. It'll be cool. Sick Viper.
So cool. All right, next one here. And one of my favorite parts was like we could hear them from the start. So you'd like be hanging out, and like there's like 5 to 10 minutes that go in between each car. So you're kind of just waiting for the next car to go, hanging out, and then you hear, wah, bah, bah, and and then get your phone out, and you gotta hang over the guardrail and try to catch it as it's coming by. It was so cool.
That's part of the fun.
Yeah, exactly. There's their other. Man, those wings are cool. We got one more here. These were just my favorites. There was like, I think 51 cars, I think, that I have videos of that ran by. But these were my all-time favorites. It's so cool. You can hear me guess this one. Oh,
You
so
could just
cool.
hear it echoing through the forest, which was awesome.
This is fantastic. So for that there, I know that was a departure from our normal programming, but let me know what you thought. Let me know if you want to see more stuff like that. I hope to go to more events and hopefully capture more of our experience and stuff like that to share with you guys. With that, have an excellent rest of your weeks.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out with us. We'll catch you later.
Peace out.